Welcome everybody. I'm Basil Schur from Green Skills, and I'd like to welcome you here to our Gondwana Connections exhibition. It's a special exhibition. It brings together artwork from camps and commissions from the past 18 months in the hinterland of our South Coast region, so in the Gondwana link, with its wonderful vision of reconnected, healthy country across the lower southwest. It's an exhibition that aims to bring Noongar and Wodjila communities together, as well as the art, land care and eco-restoration sectors of our communities. It's been working together, both Wodjila and Noongar artists, bringing it together here in these 7 paintings. I'd like to do a few thanks. Firstly to Auntie Carol Pedersen, who will be doing our Welcome to Country and as part of the opening of the exhibition. Thanks to the Noongar artists and cultural leaders that have been part of it, the Eads family, Joey Williams from Panati Aboriginal Tours, also Graeme Simpson, who will be here performing tonight as well, from the South Coast NRM's Cultural Connections project. Thanks to the many artists involved, it's really your wonderful art and storytelling that's revealed in these artworks, and we'll hear from that later this evening. Thanks to our project partners, so the organisations that have helped make this happen. There's the Denmark, the Butter Factory Art Studios and Gallery, there's Mungabuja Art Centre, there's the City of Albany's Vancouver Art Centre, where we are now, the Denmark Community Resource Centre, the landholders on whose properties some of the camps have been held, and many individuals who've helped bring this all together. I'd like to appreciate Nikki Green and Janine McCrum, supported by Lawrence Emery, who installed this exhibition last week, and to, last but not least, all of you who've come here, willingness to be curious, to share, to be part of this movement, and to be part of the storytelling and also story listening. So thanks very much for being here. So this evening we've got a variety of talks and storytelling. We'll also have soup and bread afterwards, so please stay and join us for that. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Auntie Carol Pedersen, Menang Elder, thanks very much.
I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our elders, past and present, and that includes Noongars and Wodjilas, because without your wisdom, we would have lost a lot of stories. Guest speakers, ladies and gentlemen, and of course our brilliant Noongar artists, I acknowledge your presence. According to us Noongars, this is the season of Makaroo, or early winter. The Noongar seasons can be long or short, and are indicated by what is happening and changing around us rather than dates on a calendar. These are Burak, Bunaroo, Durin, Makaroo, Dilba and Gambarang. Each of these 6 seasons represents and explains the seasonal changes we see annually. The flowering of many different plants, the hibernation of reptiles, the molting of swans are all helpful indications that the seasons are changing. This 6-season calendar is extremely important to us Noongar people, as it guides us in what nature is doing at every stage of the year, as well as understanding and respect for the land in relationship to plants and animals' fertility cycles, the land and animal preservation. We respond according to these changes, and our behaviour are in line with these seasonal changes. Makaroo sees the coldest and wettest time of the year come into full swing. Traditionally, this was a good time of the year to move back inland from the coast as the winds turn to the west and the south brings the cold weather, rains and occasionally snow on the peaks of the Stirling Ranges. I camped at Woodnilly last night and it is freezing. I ain't going in there. As the waterways and the catchments start to fill, people were able to move about their country with ease, and thus their food sources changed from sea, estuarine and lake foods to those of the lands, in particular the grazing animals such as kangaroos. As well as food source, animals provided people with many other things. For example, yonga or kangaroo not only provided meat, but also the buka, which is the animal's skin cloak that we used as the nights became colder. Nothing was left, even the bones and sinews were used in the manufacturing of bukas and for hunting tools such as spears. Makaru is also a time for lots of animals to be pairing up in preparation for the breeding season. They will begin the process of pairing up, although some birds like the black swan remain together for life. As you heard, my name is Carol and I am a member of the traditional people of this Menang country, and I welcome you here tonight. Why do we have Welcome to Country? Traditionally, it's about the process of welcoming strangers to our lands. However, if there are no strangers, we do an acknowledgement of country. So if there are any of you among us today who are strangers to this country of the Menang people, we welcome you, and at the same time let us acknowledge that where we stand today, that this is the Menang Budja of the Noongar nation. May we be guided by our ancestors' spirits as we travel in our journeys. Noongar spirituality lies in the belief of a cultural landscape. Wow, have we seen it here? And the connection between human and spiritual realms. Everything in our vast landscape has meaning and purpose. Life is a web of interrelationship where Ma'am and your men and women and nature are partners, and where the kura, long ago the past, is always connected to the yay, the present. Through our paintings, musics and corroborees, dance, we are paying respect to our ancestral creators and at the same time strengthening our belief. Noongar connection with nature and the country and Budja country signifies a close relationship with spiritual beings associated with the land. We express this through our caring for country and observing Noongar law, LORE, through oral traditions of storytelling. We express this storytelling mainly through our paintings, like a library collection, keeping the stories alive, passing on messages of traditions. This is what is delightful about tonight. The traditional values of storytelling through art continues on with events such as this. So let us keep the fires of our shared storytelling times burning through exhibitions such as we see today. Let us rejoice in a shared hope that our art, through our paintings, will continue to portray and cement our connectiveness and spirituality to our Budja. Today, this week, this month, is about celebrating the political milestones of the Mabu federal case, the 40th anniversary of the Yes vote, the referendum and the reconciliation movement. All of these are important movements for us Noongar people and for those who have walked beside us. I am of the opinion that these movements leave a lot of people confused, and I guess I'm one of those people. I feel that the most important process of these movements is not so much that what happens in Parliament, but rather what happens in the homes and on the streets with people's attitude towards Noongar people. I know that the whole and wider Australia must lead the way, but I believe the essence of these movements happens with us, not the politicians, not others, but with us, such as in this room. I am proud to look you all in the eye and stand tall with you in recognition of your efforts in helping to carry this forward. Reconciliation is not a word. It's about attitudes and behaviours. It's about inclusion. It's about recognition and acceptance. And that is exactly what is happening here today. And for that, I thank you for your commitment in advancing the reconciliation process. For those who have not ventured into our Budja before today, I extend a warm welcome to you. Let's acknowledge that where we stand that this is Menang Budja. May you tread lightly in reverence as you take your next step. Thank you.
We actually put together these paintings. I'm going to explain these paintings to the best of my memory. I've been busy all day today, painting all day again today. But this one here represents our own land, which is the Stirling Ranges. And I'm going to actually sing a few songs on these. I'm going to sing the song right through these three paintings, which represents these three paintings. So this is the Stirling Ranges, or not Captain Stirling. To us they're Bullamila, the hill of many eyes. The eyes are upon you, Bullamila. is here. The home. Yongamere, the next hill from it, if you're familiar with the Stirlings, or Koikyennuruff. Mabbernup, with a special men's spirit goes back to. All our Noongar people's spirit goes back to Bullagilla. Mabbernup, the Mabbarn men, Tully Yulbrook, beautiful woman sleeping beauty, Tully Yulbrook, right there. She runs the rest of the mountains. How many of you fellows out there that got women that runs your household?
Not me.
You don't have to put your hand up. And these are our camps. These are the camps we camped around, with water holes, always around water. Moyanup Springs, where the young women and young men met to court. Moyanup. I won't elaborate on that one anymore. Moyanup. These are our lake systems. We have our ochre pits and our lake systems, where there was always water, always. These lakes were always fresh in the early days, when I was a boy even, which wasn't too long ago. And through there. But I'll just sing that little song where we meet through to the next painting. This next painting these paintings are done with people on our art camps. They come out, I just tell the story, put the focus marks in and have them fill in. And I forgot to see it. The wallach, the eagle chasing the koikyennuruff, the little birds through the Stirlings or through Koikyennuruff to form the mountain. Chasing them through. And these stories are told from my family, my teachers. You know, there's a different story from this side of the Stirlings, the Menang side. You got the Purim side. The Purim is my predominant family, is the Purim people, or Buri people. That's looking back this way. Because I always draw to the Yulbrook, beautiful woman sleeping from my angle, my side. You look at her from this side, she's laying this way. So this one just sat down. Minnie. These are from the beautiful people that came on our tour. I gave them a splash of ochre and an idea, and this is what they came up with. And just bits and pieces. This lady bent over all day to paint these little birds. How magic was that? All day she done. The little circles in that painting there represent the air we breathe. You know, they just sat there and done those, constantly just done that. They got in the painting, they got in the dreaming. It came to life. And this is one of the first ones. This was like a semi-experimental painting, Basil. And it was great. This is out of Basil. Basil represents all the lake systems around Basil. Beautiful place, a place of many lakes. Basil, same thing. I think a lot of the artists that were involved in that beautiful painting, this beautiful painting, were on this camp, the first camp, where they were introduced to this type of mapping. And you can see all the camps. Most of the people here that are represented in these were the people on the camp. Camping around the lake systems. The spirits watching over us to protect us around the lake systems and around the hills. And the flow, it still has that flow through the springs, the water. All right, that's me.
Noongar's 760 hectares, so it's a big property, and it's got big spongy-like cliffs, and then it's got flat plains that were rather poor farming country. And Eugene, we met Eugene, and Eugene brought his elders out to this beautiful property to say, do you think this is a significant property? Do you think this is a property that you think you would like our people to be connected with? And Eugene's elders, who are the people he refers to for his sort of highest knowledge, said, yes, we think this is a fabulous property and we'd love to utilise this property to connect with our country and use it as a place for exchanging cultural information and two-way learning between the Noongar people and the Wodjila people or the white people, us all learning together about country and about cultural aspects of country. And so the Noongar people have built a meeting place out there, which is a semicircular structure, and through the gates past the enormous red sponge-like cliff have come thousands and thousands of people, Noongar people and other people from all around the world, to learn about Noongar culture and have deepen their understanding of the connections to this beautiful land and the nature that's on it. Yeah.
This painting here was done, was about now. That's what you see behind this here. And done in Noongar style. All those dots represent the trees or the plants, the revegetation that took place on Noongar. And the circles are really like campsites or water holes, that's what they represent. And this is where we walked, Noongar roamed all over this country one time. And this is part of it too, you know. It's all covered by all of our people. Noongar had a very strong connection to land. But now it's a very special place. It's a lovely place. It's got real colour, Noongar colours in it. And but it's always been very important to Noongar people, any country like that. And we have a true connection to land. And when you get to bush, I can remember now before it even cleared. So you get bush like that there. It's like having woolies or cold there. In the season, you've got all the food you want there, you know. Different season, different food, bush food. And now it's no different, and that's what this painting represents. The one, you know, the revegetation of that land, the healing that property, that wasn't a very good farming property, too much clay, too hard. But you go back now and see how the vegetation is taken off. It's coming back strong and how it should be in its natural state. And it's always a pleasure to go out there. It's open for you for all too. welcome. This is another painting of Nauna, aerial view. So this one was done by, I think, Jackie and some of the kids that we had a workshop out there one day at Nauna, and they done this one here. And today I had to come back in about 3 o'clock or something anyway, and they wanted me to do the circles there, because now that was the aerial view of it. We put these circles into the ground. They're very big, they're about 50 metres across anyway, these circles and the rows of trees. And I think the aim there was, Uncle Eugene, he wanted to make these into little camping areas for when the bushes grow up and that there. So that's what these represent there. They're just massive big circles out there with trees, rows of trees. And hopefully when, after it all grows up, you'd be able to get in there and you'd have all the shelter you need. Campgrounds, campsites for whoever wants to come out and have a night or whatever, So that's what they mean. And the meeting place, of course, here. But it's just basically the aerial view of part of the property out there.
It's amazing.
That's a good painting. Very good. So that's the story of the circles. Thank you.
So this was done on a weekend at Wellstead at the Leighton family farm, and I'd also like to acknowledge Sylvia Leighton, who really was an absolute mine of knowledge and experience, and her historical understanding of the landscape there, both geologically, biologically and culturally, was quite extraordinary. So we arrived there, and with her telling of stories on the Friday evening, the Saturday we did another tour of the country, and by Saturday afternoon we kind of picked up some earth and spread out this canvas and just we went for it. And I think with her stories, and we were quite moved, and the theme that came to us was the tracks of time, and including a lot of the Noongar pathways that had come from the Stirling Ranges right out to the Palinop River and the coastal areas. And being moved by that whole story, we created this, which symbolises that area and connection to country. So if you look up close, you'll see lots of words along the pathway that relate to both Wodjala and Noongar connection to the species, to the land, to the families, to the different names. We've got the large Mettlers Lake there, and other lake systems up there, and the idea of the Stirling Ranges coming out into the Palinop River down here. We had a lot of fun, and it just flowed. And I think sometimes when you have that connection to country, and you have a group of people with that heart space, it just does flow, and that's what we came up with. Thank you.
Lynn and Ken Tinley, I've known for a very long time. They turned up in one of those meteoric periods of WA's development, 1986 I think it was, and Ken was brought out here to map all the dune. He's an expert on dune systems, and at that stage governments had budgets, and he flew over the inland dune systems of WA and found what in his view was just totally unknown but world-shattering sort of systems and moulds and stuff that I didn't really understand. But I can remember sitting down with him at maps, and for Wodjala, maps are pretty boring things, but they help you get from, pre-Google Maps, they helped you get from here to there. But these were living maps. They had little drawings, little inside, and they explained and told that story. And with the diagrams of what we got here, I think, that's tradition of Ken, and I didn't know Lynn at the time, but I got to know her not long afterwards, and they're an amazing team. If anyone's met them. The Association with African Wildlife, the two giraffes, I've been out in the Nullarbor with them, and it's like two giraffes wandering across the landscape. I don't actually know the background of how this one got painted. You're going to have to ask Basil, but I'll give you two comments on it that relate to a lot of what's been talked to. One is that when I first saw it and stood back and said, yep, that's it, that's so good. You know, it's the country that makes my heart sing, and it's all there, and look at. And then Amanda said, well, we've got to get a bit of a record of it, so she put her camera out and she, oh, look, here's this little bit. And there are, oh yeah, there's another one. And I think that's one of the things we wrestle with a bit, that, you know, the landscape is a huge thing, particularly this amazingly ancient place that we live in, you know, one of the three oldest places on earth. All this was there and covered with plants and not quite animals because they hadn't been evolved well, but for, you know, something like 250 million years, which is pretty unprecedented. And, you know, before flowering plants even evolved, this was all happening. So somehow those colours to me have captured that, and then there's the more intense and the more intense and the more intense. So it's big and it's wonderful, but it's made up, like our landscapes, of lots of little detail that collectively make up the landscape. And that's how I think it's really good to appreciate both ends of that spectrum. And that is there's a vision of landscape here with so many different elements that has been done collaboratively. And in some cases, I think by people who had just come together at that time and who had very different approaches to the world on shore, and there would have been all the normal noncy stuff that gets between us as people. So just for that alone, and your ability to bring people together to create something that has so much intricacy in it but portrays a common message, I congratulate you. But I need to do a quick striptease. One more image. It won't be as bad as some of you might see it. It won't go too bad. It's not my Wilderness Society underpants, I assure you. But it's a work by Craig McVie from Koikyennuruff, chairman of the Koikyennuruff Aboriginal Corporation. And I remember looking at this quite a few years ago, and it really helped me understand who I was. It's a bit like you look at the stars in the night and you realise who you are. Well, I'm sure Craig can take me back over it. I suspect he has, and explained all the different elements. But if you look closely, somewhere here, there's a set of little footprints, and he's tied with his white man lost in a black man's world. So that's where I think a lot of us really are, you know. Barely 200 years in this joint for us modulars. The early biologists like Charlie Darwin, he took one look at Albany and said, well, there's not much there, is there? You know, it's a pretty good sort of place. And it has taken us nearly 200 years to even start the appreciation of it. And I think the voyage that we're on, with the guidance of our Noongar guides, as they really have been, after all we've done to that culture, they are there with us, guiding us, is to learn to understand this place where we've chosen to live. And I've got a lot more understanding to do, but thank you for tonight.
Well, we've come to the end of the storytelling for this evening. Please do stay for some soup and bread and so on, and talking and sharing and networking. I think we're on a journey together with these paintings, and that these actual paintings remain with the artist, but have been bequeathed for community use and exhibition. So I think it's a tradition that I think we can continue of creating wonderful works of art that can come out at special occasions and help to bring art into all aspects of our work in caring for our land. So thanks for coming tonight.